Hey everybody, it's Argent here. So I'm here with Kaveri, and he has a story about DSP, just something from his personal experience, and he asked if he could come on and kind of talk about it. So I said sure. I know I've been doing a fair amount of DSP stuff lately, but that's just because it's Christmas time, and that means high ad revenue. It's a good time of year to cash in on drama videos. So, anyways, that being said, why don't you introduce yourself and I don't know, just talk about outline what it is you wanted to discuss.
So my name is Kaveri. Everybody, I'm I live in I live in the same state that Phil had previously lived in, and I had known him for, I would say, a good amount of 6 to 7 years going on now.
Oh, you watched his content for that long?
No, I didn't really know he was actually online because I wasn't really. I was still in high school at the time, so I wasn't really into yeah.
Oh, did you know him in real life then?
Yes, yeah,
Oh, wow, that's cool.
I
Did
did.
you? Oh, wow, that's interesting because not that many people have actually met him. 'Cause he's kind of a hermit who just lives like never goes outside.
Yeah, it's funny because the way he acts in public, it sure shows that he's not very comfortable out of his own skin. Certainly not to an extent where he can almost where he can control himself.
Well, it's if you look at it, basically the only times he'll talk to people is if it's in a situation where he has complete control. Like he can ban them, he can kick them, he can get his mods to go after them. He doesn't talk with people as equals.
Yeah, and that's one of the things when I first met him that it was very strange, but I understood it later on going through seeing his videos and understanding just how much of a bad person he can really be.
So would you describe yourself as being a friend of his?
In the beginning, it was more of like a rivalry, but a rivalry in a good way.
In what sense? Like in fighting games or
Yes, we well, let me go and start in the beginning. See, me and Phil we went to this tournament in Connecticut. I don't remember the month. I think it was sometime early 2008, and I had been.
that was right at the tail end when he almost that was almost when he stopped doing FGC stuff, if I recall.
I Yeah, I think so. We were. I was at a. I'm not a big. I was not. Well, I'm not huge into fighting games now as I used to have been, because before it was just sort of trying to get into like the Evo scene, the
Yeah,
fight,
it's a community.
and just you know because I felt like it was a new community, a new hobby. Even though I video games, I never considered myself to be a real hardcore fighting game player. Certainly not in public either. That's something that was totally new to me at the time.
Right. I guess my thing with fighting games is just the amount of practice you need to get like good at them. So
Yeah,
the only fighting game I like seriously played was Soul Calibur 2.
yeah, and I had played Soul Calibur 2, so I played Tenkin. I played a lot of Tenkin and also some Virtual Fighter back when I was a kid, and but that was all just casually, co-op and versus someone else in high school. It wasn't really anything super, serious like it was back in the Evo tournament, though.
So Evo's the big tournament, like it's the biggest one.
Yeah, you could say it back then it had a I'm not sure about today because I don't really follow today, but back then it did have it had a big thing, and especially the last generation of gaming, it had a big impact with.
So it's kind of like the Super Bowl of fighting games.
Yeah, you could. It's like it's like a Super Bowl of fighting games, and it's even in a mentality of it too is also that you just want to, you know, I guess in a way show off and be more like can withstand the crap talking and.
Well, it's a guy thing, I would assume. It's like 90%
Yeah,
males.
yeah.
So yeah, we just like to like shit talk and stuff. It's just
right.
bullshit. It's the way we are.
A big testosterone filled dump, as I refer to it as.
Oh, sorry, you cut out there. So what were you saying?
So like I was saying before, you know, it has a lot of energy to it, but when I had met Phil over in Evo, I was introduced to him from basically another individual. It had gotten, I believe it was a while into it, and I went over to the arcade cabinet, and I was just watching, and someone said something about this type of, I believe it was, I'm not sure what Tekken game it was that they had. It might have been Tekken 4 at that time. Tekken 4, but anyways, there was a bunch of players. You know, there was a scoring system. There were some judges. I thought to myself that I'm pretty confident, even though I haven't really practiced that much.
Right.
Call me over confident, is if you will, and so I wanted to get in on it, and I started playing. That's when DSP Phil came up and started in on the whole entire thing, and he kind of in a way felt like it was his time to, you know, to show and prove to everyone how good, quote unquote, good he is, and I was his opponent, and we were playing just this video game, and he seemed like he was, you know, really into it, and, you know, like, oh, you know, don't worry about this. I'm sure I have this. He's just, this has got to be some kind of joke. He's not really serious about fighting me, because look at his play style, and it was all, you know, it was judgment, and I was just I was just kind of like, you know, since I was a teenager and a little younger than he was, I kind of just shriveled up and sort of was like, well, you know what? I have nothing to lose, so why not just, you know, have fun? And I didn't, you know, at the time I did not know who he was or anything. And yeah, he had people cheering him on and so forth and so on. And we played some Tekken, and I can't remember exactly every single bit of it, but at the end of it, I remember feeling exhausted, and Phil approached me and said something about if I wanted to be in any of his videos with him, he was going to have some kind of a.
How did you do against him, by the way? Did he beat you, or?
Well, see, over there at honestly, it was the Tekken that I'm thinking it was. It's when they first introduced the walls. So in Tekken, when you get too far into a stage, you hit a wall. And pretty much in the previous games, you could go as far out of the stage as you wanted to. There was like no limit to it. But in this one, there was walls. So whenever, I the arcade version had this mechanic in it as well. And the mechanics, I just didn't like it. I was shit talking it. And he so he did beat me quite a few times. And
So
then
is he actually good at? Because that's something like people often like will argue over whether or not he was actually good at fighting games.
he wouldn't main anybody in particular. He was very much of a troll in the way of the fighting games, where he'd pick the low ended characters and just the ones that no one wasn't really playing with. And I kind of called him out and said, why don't you just take out the best character that you can play with, because I'm to a point where I'm getting beaten because I don't know what character I'm really using. But at the same time, I'll go and use my main that I know I'm good with, my main character, which happens to be Jin Kazuya, and he decided to bring his own character. And it was a big laughing deal to him. It was just like, it wasn't really he I could tell that he was starting to get really, really angry when I started defeating him on this is best out of 3
Right.
rules. So I had given an opportunity for myself to just hang on and not let him get to me with the way he talked, and I ended up beating him, but I believe he had more victories over me than I did of him. It was just mostly
So he does get that salty when he loses.
oh yes, definitely. He brags so much. I mean, he was so much of an ego was shown. It was right there in Evo.
Right.
My God, it was ridiculous. And everyone was just on his. Everyone was just watching behind, and it was fuel for the both of us, but more for Phil, because it had his big ego, and it was to a point where he just felt more superior and over, like, that he didn't need to prove himself anymore.
Right. So did he like insult you and call you like a scrub or something?
Yeah, a lot of times, like at the end of the whole game, after a few turns, what you're supposed to do is grab your arcade stick and at least the hand of the person, your opponent, even in the beginning. Well, instead of doing that, Phil just turned around and left the stage and just threw his arms up and said, "Oh, what?" Like, as if to gesture or whatever. Like, I can't believe this sort of thing's happening.
Right. So you played him. So that was at Evo.
Yes.
So that wasn't an official match. You just kind of came across him, and you guys just played a couple rounds of Tekken.
Yeah, I signed up for the tournament, and
do you have to qualify for Evo, or can anybody go?
back then I remember there was money involved that I had to pay in order to get in, and I wasn't really expecting to be all the way in like the beginning of it, because that was like, I thought that was the highlight of the entire thing, was the main event. I didn't think it was going to be that soon, but it turned out to be a couple matches in. So there was a lot more build up to it afterwards.
Right. So you met Phil at Evo. What happened next?
And after we had met. You know, he trash talked to me, and I was being nice. I offered, you know, why don't we just make it like as if we're eating. You know, I was like trying to be nice to him and all this kind of things, like, you know, good job. I wasn't trying to, you know, and he was telling me I was anti-competitive and how I was just pushing the same old button over and over, when in actuality he was the one that was using the same move sets.
So because you beat him, they started to try to make it like sound like you were cheating.
Yeah, and the tournament organizers were just they just ignored Phil and just said, you know, it like it wasn't anything to really get really upset over. Well, the tournament organizer, he was just laughing. He was just, I'm not sure he was laughing at.
That wasn't an official match, though, right?
Hmm?
That wasn't an official match, though, right?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't like it was broadcast or anything like that.
Like it wasn't a rank match. You guys are just playing. Okay,
No.
so that happened. So yeah, go on. So what happened? Yeah, so he was shit talking you.
Right, and I offered. I says, you know, there's this. If you go online, you will notice that there's a lot of different move sets for type of characters that you play as, and I think you can get better at them. And
He must have gotten really salty over that one.
He looked like he hit a brick wall when I mentioned it to him. Honest to God, man, you know, there's more to a character than just how he looks and the type of one move that you can pull off with that character. I mean, that was just ridiculous.
Because I've heard that's how he plays.
Yeah.
Oh, Rashid, doesn't he play like Rashid or something, and he just spams a one combo? As I remember what Tevin said about him.
Yeah, he was trying to play as Eddie Gordo, and he was just not. He didn't have the character down at all, and it was just. I remember.
Does he just button mash?
He was slamming the arcade stick like left and right as if he knew, like he was throwing Hadoukens in Street Fighter, which we all, you know, he doesn't really. Any monkey can really do it, right? I mean, it's not that hard.
So he's like worse, because button mashing, my understanding, can actually be tricky because you have no idea what they're doing, so it's impossible to like react to. Because I've seen like people who know what they're doing lose to people who are button mashing just because it's so unpredictable, and you're used to fighting people who have a strategy.
And yeah, I was not sure what was going on. I thought some malfunction happened. I was looking back and going to myself, is this really happening? You know, what is going on here? Is this button stuck to his arcade cab? Because someone look, because I'm feeling like I'm like the only one here, and everyone's just like, oh yeah, Phil Brunel, fucking DSPs. You know,
so they were cheering him on.
Yeah, and I was just like, this has got to be some kind of bum joke, man, because he was not playing. I don't know what they saw. What it was just not what was going on, and I was cracking up, and he was getting meaner and meaner. I gotta stop because I'm starting to feel bad right now just playing against him, because gosh, I mean, if you can't seriously play on my level, and you're just like getting more and more.
You're just you're just new to it, right? Like you're not even. I'm not trying to insult you, but you wouldn't consider yourself like good at this point in time.
No, I still casually played. I mean, I focused all my attention to it from just the console port,
right?
Which was on the PlayStation 2, and I was just. I wasn't even. I knew from looking online some of the movesets for not only the characters but for the arcade sticks, the arcade cabinets that they used. So I knew exactly certain combos that he, of course, failed to see or failed to realize that were there sitting in front of him. But
This just, yeah, this sounds very, very Philish.
and you know, I was so I we all had I had a good time. Just the whole experience was just great. But when I told him about the move, so back to the back, I'm gonna go back to the move set when I told him online, like you were saying, and so he felt obviously taken, like, and he looked at me like, excuse me, like, what the fuck did you just say? And I told him, I says, really, I mean, you could brush up on your skills and at least be a bit more decent.
Sorry, I'm just thinking of his reaction.
You know, I was not messing around, and he was just going. He was just like, I could see him in his head. He was just going all over, and then he's like, yeah, well, maybe you're right. And I said, I'm like, nothing against you. And I says, can I please shake your hand at least, that way I know? And he says, yeah, okay. And so we shook hands. He took he had something in his hand at the time, and it was terrible. It was like, you know, handshaking an octopus, if you will.
So,
really pound on the just. Oh my god, I don't know. So they say when you have a lot of energy drinks, you sweat quite profusely. So maybe it was that. But yeah. So I and he said something about he did said something to me interesting about my playing style. And yo man, if you go online and you start playing online like you do over here, I'm pretty certain you'll probably get more. You know, you get a lot of followers. And I says, yeah. And he says, by the way, have you ever went on YouTube and seen on the Wi-Fi battles over online? And I said to myself, you know, I was familiar with it, and then of course, and I said, I don't know if I could ever, you know, because there's so many people out there that are playing this, that were at the time playing, you know, even newer fighting games, and I didn't claim to be no Tenkin Grandmaster or any kind of Tenkin, you know, I was just a casual player that just walked into this fighting game tournament, and he beat me a couple times, I beat him, and in the end, it was, you know, like, I'm not even sure if I really wanted to go on live and show my character, you know, the fighting games style that the skills that I have, because, you know, I was more of a casual back then, and with the fighting game, you know.
When did Phil start his channel again?
Sorry?
Did he have his channel back then? I don't remember when he started DSP.
The earliest video, okay, so the earliest video that I remember seeing of Phil was when he had done these strange little skits, if you will, where there was some editing in his videos. If anyone can ever remember that, but there was some kind of editing, and he was just reacting to it, like DSP reacts to such and such. And
right.
The first episode was something about I honestly don't remember, because it's been such a long time since I've seen the very first episode I saw of DSP on the internet. But no, I mean, he was more heavy set back then. Definitely not heavy set, but, you know, more Broly, if you will.
Right. So what happened after that?
After that, he'd given me sort of this. I saw him on YouTube. You know, I don't usually do this right away. It's not an impulse, but I subscribed to him, and
your inbox was immediately flooded?
Yeah, no, quite a bit of like, I would want to say like, I don't, gosh, I remember one time I didn't come on YouTube. I didn't log on for 3 days, and it was already over 230 something videos.
Right, he was probably doing fighting game coverage.
Going to my and I was just like, my gosh, that is a lot of YouTube, and it was all from him. It was all from him, and so I communicated with him back and forth, and hey, remember who I am, and I don't have a dedicated channel. And back then I was just doing montages of role playing games, which is totally different from fighting games. He says, yeah, you and I after we all exchanged and knew what who we were, he remembered me. He says, oh hey, yeah, that's you, isn't it? But I said to him, yeah, how many videos do you actually have to make, by the way? he says as many videos as any YouTuber possibly can at that time. And what?
Bugged video mechanics.
Your freaking mind, dude. I actually said that I wrote to, I says, are you out of your mind? And he didn't respond back to me. So I thought I offended him. I was, oh crap. And I was just watching, and then there was another few, like another dozen or so videos following later that day and night. And I was like going to myself, all right. Then I received a message from him, and he was telling me about this idea he had, that he wanted to get into the raw, uncut footage of games that he was playing at the time, and he was trying to make himself a big time. At that time, he was saying he wanted to be a full-time YouTube streamer.
So he wanted to rise up, young boy, and make himself a legend?
Yes. In his words, he wanted to make it his living, which came across to me as being, all right, maybe it's just one of these days someone's having, and maybe he's just thinking of it. But I didn't honestly think that he made that his living, that was his job. Because,
I mean, to be fair, he still makes good money at it.
Yeah. And
he makes more money than I do at my serious adult job.
Yeah. That's the thing. And he today, he just complains about not having enough money, not having enough, and now he's in this trouble, he's in that trouble. I've got to say, this has got the biggest cry for help that I have ever seen from somebody who doesn't even need it.
Right.
Anyway.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so you can't. So sorry. Let's just get. We'll talk about that a bit later. So you can't. So you talked to him on YouTube, and sorry, he wanted you to get into his unedited fighting game footage, unedited content with him.
So for Phil, he had asked me if I was good with if I knew editing software, and I told him I heard of some, but I'm not really. So you're not an editor or anything like? Oh, you go, no, I'm not really like that. He goes, oh, okay, all right. Well, I was just wondering about if you had known somebody that was like that, knew to do good editing like. And I says, no, I can't think of anybody I ever have. And so he we agreed that he was going to me in a couple of his upcoming videos. We were going to play some more fighting games, and he was going to. He said, "Would it be would it be all right if I sent you, the video? And, it doesn't. And then I kind of went a little crazy because I thought, gee, if I'm not really a big fighting game player, and, here I am, and I kind of feel in this position now. He's putting me in a place where he feels like he wants to show everybody how we play, and that kind of made me feel like I'm not really sure about that. And he decided, without my knowledge, to go ahead and publish it post it right on YouTube.
Sorry, you played a match with him?
Yes, we played some.
So you played a couple. He recorded it. He's like, "Can I put it up?" And you're like, "Yeah," but he just posted it anyways.
Yeah, and he posted even my sort of my trash talk and me talking to my brothers at the time, and I'm like, and I watched it, and I go, Phil, can you please edit out those, like, the little stupid things that I'm saying in your video?
So he did that completely without your permission and without telling you that he was going to record it for YouTube?
He did, and I felt like, this isn't really right. I just went along with it, and then I told him he needed to, it's not going to be all these matches that he's talking about. And so he wanted to do like a compilation of sorts with me and my gamer tag. It was on the Xbox 360 at the time.
Oh, sorry, just a side note. Did you know Rambo or Howard? Or did you ever meet either of them?
But I did have so he did want me to be in. He did try to get me into his Project 7.
He did, really?
Yes. Not as along with the other two, I forgot, John Rambo and Howard, but sort of be an assistant in a way. 7.
Right.
He like I said before, I knew a bit about computers, and I believe he wanted to use what I had to offer for his Project 7.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that, because I find like with him, all his friendships are based on what people can give him or what people can do for him?
Yeah, he became belligerent he became belligerent when he found out that I wasn't really I didn't really dig the whole aspect of editing or not knowing what editing software was, and he was just kind of frustrated. But he's like, okay, whatever, man. So let's just go to the next thing, and just the next whatever. And I too got a little angry at him quite a bit. I was just not liking at all what I was going through, because it was the unedited footage, the posting on online. It made me feel like I was worse than he was, and he was sitting there talking trash with commentary, and I didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Right. Well, you didn't know you were being recorded, so like if you knew you were being recorded, like if you know, then you say things kind of differently, you act differently.
Yeah, right. So that like I said earlier before, I requested that he edited, at least a little bit, even if it was a dirty edit, to take out my voice and some of the clips, because it was just, I was not really talking directly to him, and I guess he didn't really care or didn't understand, so he just threw it out there completely.
Mm-hmm.
So off and on, back then, he says, "What do you think about in more gameplay, like online gameplay?" And he said something about having me set up an account for Sony to get. And I said to him, "Well, I don't have a PlayStation 3, and it's kind of expensive because back then it was a bit more expensive than the Xbox 360."
Yeah, the PS3 was really expensive.
Yeah, and then he was telling me, "Oh, but the 360's got these hardware failures."
Yeah, he really hates Microsoft.
Yeah, and
I'm not a PlayStation fanboy.
he was telling me to go jump ship into Sony territory, but
Right.
I was telling him how I wasn't able to because I didn't have any funds that I could use to buy myself a PlayStation 3. I did ask. I says, "Would you be able to offer me, to get me a PS3?" And he just was like, "Oh, come on, you stupid scrub! What are you doing?" And I'm like, it was just a joke. It wasn't really anything to take personally. And but he was telling me every day, "Come on, come, let's go to Sony. I already got a PS3, and oh, look at this." So I was like, "Wow, geez, like how much?"
Dude, I need your help to make me money.
Yeah, like how much is all that really like? Back then, it had been well over like it had been 4 digits at least with the stuff that he purchased. And
No, I'm just saying, it seems like like I said, the only people he likes, he's friends with, or acts friendly towards, are people who he believes can give him something.
yeah,
Like
and
he wasn't like, it sounds like he wasn't like, "Oh, you're a cool guy. Let's just play some fighting games together. Hey, why don't you come on one of my videos?" It seems like he like singled you out. He's like, "There's this dude, I can make some money off of him." I don't know. Maybe that, would you say, am I being unfair or?
no, that would be accurate because
Okay.
on occasions he asked me to do something kind of shady at the time with give me your address. I want to know
What?
or some place we can meet up if you're not comfortable. I told him no. I says, "Look, dude, I don't want to be known on YouTube as and be in your videos." And I don't know. The conversation went into that territory at some point, and I told him specific. I says, I don't want to be involved. And he says, "Oh, just come on." He says, "Please." He says, you need to go and be, you know, you and me can really, put on a good show for everyone that's watching. That I have all the time in the world." And I just told him. So something I stupidly went and decided to meet him in public because I didn't live back then. Where I lived, he was not far from me. He didn't live that far from me.
Were you ever starstruck? Like, he had a lot of fans back in the day, didn't he?
I'm
Like, were
not.
you ever a little intimidated just by his fame?
I believe Panda Lee started when she came on. He was starting to get a lot more of a lot more backers, a lot more people that were really fans, but people that are, well, not fighting game fans, but fans of other games, and then they became his became his audience.
So, did you have any interaction with Panda Lee?
No,
Or did you just observe her at all?
I have observed her before and still have. Even in the very beginning when he made the announcement, it was I think it was around the holiday. I'm not sure what holiday it was, and he had a video where he says he
I
was
think it was Valentine's Day, and he like showed her off like a doll.
okay. Yeah, that rings. He had his arm. He had his arm. He was in some kind of like flannel jacket. He was
Yeah.
condo, and so I remember that. And I decided to meet Phil in public on this one occasion. I told myself it was only this one occasion, just so we could sort of understand, like, I was trying to understand what he wanted at the time because I wasn't sure exactly. Maybe he was going to go out of his way and do something. I didn't know. I didn't really know what this was, and very awkwardly, my mother had brought me over there because I wasn't able to drive, and he was like, "Oh my God, dude, what's up with that?" And I'm going, "What?" And he's like, "You gotta have your mother with you. Oh, you can't be part of DSP gaming, DSP family if you're gonna have." I'm like, "No, listen, I can't, I can't. It's just I'm too young to be on my own, And he didn't really understand that.
Well, like a lot of people, like I'm in my mid-20s and I live with my parents to save money.
Yeah.
Because living on your own is expensive. So I don't know, it's not that weird at all. Phil just but anyways, sorry, go on.
So to him, it was like a rejection. I took it as a rejection, and I was. It was getting. I was trying to understand. So we went into a GameStop. He was showing me all the new cool latest and stuff that was coming out. There was these arcade sticks he was telling me about that can improve your game really well if you buy them, and they were like a couple $100 for a very good one. And so we walked out, and then he says, "How would you feel about being sort of like to be around with my? How would you feel to be in my videos?"
He keeps asking about it.
And listen, he wanted me to be in his videos, to not on screen, but to be off screen playing alongside him, because there was this multiplayer game coming out that needed two versus two or something like that. So he wanted me to couch co-op with him in this game, and he wanted to record it and do his DSP thing and just sort of like pretend he had someone online he was playing with.
He wanted to pretend that you weren't there, and that
I was just going to myself, well, this would be kind of strange because first off, I don't know anything about these games he was telling me about. He was going all over the place, and and he wanted me to be in one of his stupid videos, and just to like, now he says, don't even introduce yourself, just be like, I'll have a
don't even introduce yourself.
We'll play some people online, and it'll be cool, and you'll meet my girlfriend and my girlfriend Leanne, and I says, yeah, dude, I don't know about all of this. This sounds, kind of like something.
How far away did you live from him?
Let's see. So it was like, mileage wise, it was probably the next 2 towns over.
So like half an hour, or?
Yeah, it wasn't that far. And I was actually surprised it was that close to living close.
Because I know Rambo had to drive like over an hour, I think, or he said something about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but for me it was the next 2 towns over practically. So it didn't seem that it wasn't that much of a trip. Just for my mother maybe, but not for me.
Right. Sorry, so keep going.
So I told him, well, let me think about it, and so he started calling me derogatory names like, pussy and all this other stupid stuff, and he's like, oh, come on, show me you got some balls, dude. And then he did his stupid laugh, and I just went, to myself, I says, who the fuck does he think he is? I mean, this is not.
So he's trying to get you to, like, as a favor to him, to help him make money, be in his videos.
Yeah,
and he's like mocking you.
That was the other thing that he was mentioning too. Something about getting rewarded for doing so, and I said to myself, what? I said, no. I mean, it sounds like a good idea maybe to you, but to me, it just sounds really weird, fucking weird, just out of the blue. You bring me to a GameStop, we look around, and then you just outside tell me come into, come room, start doing videos off camera with you and Leanne, and then I'll chip you in on some things. It just sounded really stupid.
Well, some people just don't want that exposure. They just don't want to be on YouTube and have like people like pick them apart. I mean, it can get. I've kind of gotten used to it, but when I first started this, it can get stressful, knowing that people are watching you. It's helped me kind of grow a bit of a thicker skin, I guess, just because people can be really nasty. But in general, just guys in the chat, you guys are great. I have great viewers, but yeah, like I can understand not wanting to be part of it. But so he just couldn't accept that you didn't want to be YouTube famous like him.
Not at all. And I expressed to him, here's some issues that I have, and he just kept going like, oh, everything's perfect, everything's gonna be fine. Oh, you're crying about stupid things that are, and then he's telling me, hey, I got it, and he says, I'm gonna make some more videos, don't worry about it. So I said, all right. So we parted ways then, and I came back home. I looked online. I was thinking, I really should unsubscribe right now to this fucking Joker. I don't see how this. What is all this happening? What is going on? And then I get a notification, and I'm going, what the fuck is this? It's called Ask the King Live, and I'm going, what? Now I'm starting to see him in a cowboy hat talking about, like, and then he talks about this, and I'm going, oh, please don't tell me he talked about me in the Evil tournament, and he got in touch with me, and oh, please God, please don't. And I was just like, please, and I'm like going, oh, the comment section's gonna blow up, and then he's gonna like say, oh, here's my friend. I didn't know if Leanne was with him or taking pictures, maybe he was gonna expose me or something. I was being paranoid, but I was just like, oh, God.
So he didn't diss you and Ask the King.
No, he didn't do any. He did mention about he was talking about me and a friend of mine, and he mentioned my name, and he says, oh, what a coincidence. And everybody else was just like, he was just like, so anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. And I thought the whole thing was just ridiculous. The whole cowboy hat, the whole read on a piece of paper and then rant and then do some, it just is like a Western, what is this, like a Western talk show now or something? So first you're going to go from gaming, now you're going to go into like, what are you going to do? You're going to go into like something like a different. So I kept watching, thinking to myself,
Did he just stop trying to talk to you after that?
For a time, for like about maybe a week, and then I get back from school and I go online. I see some more videos, and it's just hundreds of videos. And he's asking me if I know, hey, I really need to know if you know any kind of platform other than you to put my videos on, because I need to have a backup in case something happens where YouTube gets thrown off the face of the planet, as he put it. And I told him, well, there's got to be something. Did you try? Did you try Blip TV? Did you try Daily Motion? And I think he went to one of those and got quite far and became quite an ass to himself.
What happened was with, I don't know. Do you know the whole Blip thing?
Nah, not really. No, because
Okay, so what happened was he played Dead Space 2 and he role played as a Nazi.
Oh my!
And he got kicked off of Dead Space. He got kicked off of Blip for that. Which I actually thought it was funny. But I guess he just violated their terms of service or whatever. Although Blip TV collapsed, so.
Oh, I didn't even know you can play as one in Dead Space 2.
No, he in his commentary was pretending to be one.
Oh, jeez. Oh, God. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he asked me what did I. He was like, "Hey, what do you think of my new videos? How many views can you give to each of my videos?" And I found that interesting how he was telling me about YouTube and the the viewership that he gets really means a lot to him, and sort of kind of this job of his. And while I was thinking to myself, how in the world are you going to make a living off of just doing YouTube videos? And then you have, and he was telling me Leanne's got connections in the family, and if nothing bad's gonna happen over along when we're
sorry, I've never heard of this. What connections is that? Sorry, with Leanna?
He just said something vague in terms in regards to Leanne's own family being able to help them out, and he told me where she was from, and it was just kind of like not. I didn't want to I didn't really care, so I just honestly was just like, well,
Okay, sorry, just what is Leanna's ethnicity? Because I can never tell. Is she Hispanic?
I don't see. That's the thing. I was trying to figure. I honestly don't even know. I was trying to figure that out. I was trying to figure it out too at some point.
Maybe she's just a weird-looking white girl. Because I don't know. She just. Is...
I thought she was honestly, I can't. I don't even know. Can't say. But she was. I met her one time with Phil, and it was so it was sort of like going to GameStop, checking out the new games and or whatever, and then he says, "Oh, you're probably."
Was this a different time?
Yeah, this was a different time. And
okay, so you had the messages. Did Phil ask to hang out with you again, or something?
I kind of asked him to hang out because I was getting kind of like I was getting bored of my own time because I was just about like at the end of high school, and I had two close friends that I hung out with. I have close people that I'm close knit circles. I'm more of an introvert than an extrovert, and honestly I wasn't really, but if I start, we have a lot in common, or one way or another, I'm going to, I encourage everyone to hang out at least a couple times, just whatever, play games or do whatever.
So you want to get to know him a bit better because you're like, who is this dude? What's?
Yeah, and he said, oh yeah, he's he agreed to it and everything. So I went over his house, his condo, and Leanne was there, and they all had this. It looked very strange. The condo was very claustrophobic. I can remember and also smelling high heaven and just having like.
Oh, you got to see his condo?
Yeah, his condo.
Did you see the statues?
Yeah, he was showing me. That was like the first thing he was showing me, putting right in my face. You know, I was oh, that's cool. Whatever. Guile. This he was showing me Guile. He was the biggest. Like he had the biggest thing for Guile. He was showing me, and the statue had it's pretty cool, but something was just a little bit off with it that I didn't
Isn't like, because in the videos it looks like every square inch of space in his apartment is covered with statues.
Yeah, there wasn't too many statues. There was maybe 7 or 8 of them,
Right.
and they were all various. And he was showing me, hey, this over here is a limited edition statue from a limited edition comic book or something, and I saw. I looked up. Oh, that's pretty good. Then I walked into his living room, his office space. Leanne was sitting there, and it looked like It looked like there was drinking going on. So I didn't really think much of it, but I was. So we were playing. He didn't stream. He decided not to stream at all, and he told me, "Oh, I'm not going to stream. Don't worry about streaming anything. I'm not going to have any kind of stream going tonight." And he's
So was it like completely filthy in there?
Filthy in like a dirty sense. It was pretty smelly, and it was cluttered with just about a lot of. It was honestly, it was really cluttered.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I don't think Leanne was living with him.
No, she didn't move in, I think, until they moved across the country.
Okay, yeah, because so we played a couple of games on and off, and then he was showing me his DVD collection, and sort of just that's pretty cool and everything like that, and Leanne was showing me well, wasn't really showing me. She was just like talking to me, kind of on the sides, just hey, look at this over here, he, it's that, it's this. She was being nice. He was always just being so obnoxious about this in gaming, that in gaming, and I was just going, yeah, I understand. I have the same, so the feeling was mutual. But somewhere down the line, and that evening, he ended up deciding to stream.
Right.
And I said, okay. Didn't think much of it. Next thing you know, he has the stream with my voice in it, Leanne talking, and him playing online. I don't remember what the hell it was, and I did not know anything about it until I had gone on YouTube, and someone had picked up my voice and said, "Hey, I believe in school, like, is this you? It sounds like you." And
sorry, did he start streaming without telling you?
yeah. He told me he was stream at all that night, and obviously he lied.
Sorry, I just have to. Okay, so he's like, let's play fighting games together, and okay, so it's like, we're just gonna have some fun, and then he started streaming without telling you, and he put the videos up on YouTube.
Of it, and he was acting, like, oh, hey, I got a good idea, and hey, let's make things a little more interesting. So he starts streaming, and I'm talking, and I talk in the middle of his stream, and it's just in the background, but it was not right because I had said some personal things, and it was on his, like I said, he picked it up, and it was picked up in his stream, and he ended up posting it up on YouTube. And
So did you not find out until the person at your school was like, "Hey, isn't that your voice?"
Yeah, yeah, like isn't that your voice? And
So,
gave
so
it
you didn't even figure it out until later.
right,
Wow.
right. Because I was just I didn't think he was I didn't think much of it. And when I was over there, I thought, hey, whatever. And I didn't think, I back then I probably thought microphones probably didn't because he had his camera set up on a tripod in front of the TV while he was streaming.
That's like those sleazy people who like record themselves, like they bring a girl back and they record them having sex with her, and
Yeah,
then they put it up on YouPorn or something.
yeah. So it was right in the middle of the screen. He brought it out, and I was in I just walked off to use his bathroom, came back, and I was like going to myself, what the fuck is the whole thing with the tripod? He says, don't you have like isn't there like some kind of streaming you have or anything like that? Is it just like because and he's like, oh, yeah, I got this computer, but it's made by Lenovo, and it's a horrible abomination. Don't ever buy anything from them. And I'm like, oh.
Huh?
And I just sat by, and like I said, I started talking a little bit with Leanne, and so surely enough, it picked up on the stream. And I told Phil when I heard it afterwards, I said to him, I says, "Can you? Hey," I said, he didn't respond for like a couple days, and he had just published this vlog of him and her. They were on some kind of like honeymoon or something, some fancy place, and they were staying at a hotel. So he came back and he told me, "Oh, I'm really sorry I didn't get to reply, but but it doesn't matter because we're I possibly because he wasn't like he was like starting to ignore me at that point, and but no, he wasn't starting to ignore me, and turned out that he posted me in one of his streams, and it was just really, it was not good. I told him, please take that video off or edit it or do something. I don't want to be seen in any of your videos, Phil. I really don't. And
Well, you just don't want the. It's just drama. Like I don't know how negative it was back then, but it's that "Why am I toxic" meme. Just
yeah,
everything about it is toxic. I don't know if you've noticed this, Oil. Just one side note: everybody who does any business with that dude gets burned, or he slanders them, or he smears them. Like Machinima, YouTube, Howard and Rambo.
he's still with. He's not with Machinima, is he?
No, he's with Curse now.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
So did he? So you asked him to take it down. What did he do?
he got um he got very angry, and he started going, listen here now. He says, I'm starting to get really angry when you tell me you can't, first you're telling me you can't do editing, so how am I supposed to do any editing on my side? I think, the real problem is blah 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 blah, you're the problem, and I'm just trying to do my thing. You're just getting in the way, and what are you doing talking with my girlfriend? And I'm going to myself,
What?
yeah, wasn't really doing anything talking with Leanne. We were just having a casual conversation, and he's getting so angry about just one little conversation, and he's telling me over YouTube, and I'm going, Jesus Christ, just calm down. I'm sorry. Did I look at you wrong or something? I guess he takes any offense to anyone, even so much as,
Well, I mean, you were there in a little condo with your girlfriend. His girlfriend, of course, you're going to talk to her.
yeah, I mean, I was just trying to be social. I wasn't trying to, be any kind of. And he was like joking afterwards and saying, "Oh, you know what? I think I changed my mind. Honestly, I think Leanne had told him, sir, calm your tits, or something along those lines.
Sorry, just a side note to the audience. What Phil engages in is something called gaslighting. Gaslighting is when the goal is to try to make the person think they're crazy or to make them guilty. So you like alternate between being really nice to someone and really mean to someone, like insulting them and complimenting them. And the idea is to just kind of make you question reality. So it sounds like he kind of did that with you. Like he would pretend to be your friend and then he'd um, like insult you as kind of a way to emotionally manipulate you.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, I just was like, why did the overreaction? And then I started remembering too, this guy seems to have a big impulse control problem.
Right.
That really is apparent, and especially over the internet. And so I says, you know what? I feel bad. You know what I'll do? I'll try to see if I could. And he says, "Oh, can you?" He says, "What?" He says, "What are you gonna do about it?" So I says, "You know what? I'm sorry." So I decided, stupidly and regretfully to this day, I said, "You know what? Here, why don't I just try to like so
Try to what?
try to give him like." Of people that can give me more views and more, all that kind of stuff. And I said, all right, so I do know this forum. I don't know if it's still around. And it was a gaming forum, and they didn't know about him. So I basically gave him sponsorship in a way for him to kind of take me back and just be like, I didn't really care for him, but I felt like, you know what, I might as well just go ahead and at least say I'm sorry. And
I'm sorry, the forum was like to find people to come on his streams.
so it was similar to GameFAQs,
Yeah.
and I was basically just bragging about it and on the forums that there's this guy DSP. I don't know if you've heard of him. No, most of the responses were no. I made a stupid poll and I worded it terribly, terribly. And I was just like, can you please just help me out with my problem? So they ended up all watching his streams, and then he goes to me, and he calls me out and says, he calls me out and says, there's a whole bunch of new views on my channel. And he goes, oh my God, he goes, this is incredible. And he didn't know it was me. And I was just going, yeah, well, here you go. Have fun. Knock yourself out. And I was angry at him because I was like, I didn't talk to Leanne in any kind of way that he was implying, which, by the way, he was implying it was something sexual, and it was not any sexual anything, especially from her, because she was like a spitfire type, and I hate that.
Right.
And
a lot of people find her annoying.
Yeah, and she didn't. There was just like she was going the complete opposite way in the conversation to the where I just like, oh, whatever, and I stopped talking, and he kept thinking, no, you kept talking, and she kept on telling me you were telling her blah blah blah, and something about
Sorry, so this was after you got all the people to go to his channel?
Yeah. So and
did you ever tell him that like about posting it on the website, on the forum?
No, I kept that because I told myself, if he knew about that and he saw it, he would probably become even more, belligerent. He didn't, he knows who I am. He knows my face, and that's the worst thing ever. If he sees me in public, he might.
Sorry, why were you afraid that you were going to? Sorry, why were you afraid he was going to get angry if you told him that?
Well, because he might have seen it as like a cop out, and in his anger, he didn't really seem interested or like reading my response. So he would have probably never have known that it was me who was giving him the views and the group of people that I found on the internet.
Right.
So I came, to myself that he's going to get angry, and I just he turned around and he was like happy again. Started talking to me more, and from there on is where things started getting really bad with his asking me for help with his channel, help with how much further we can go with this. And then he started begging me because I had a certain kind of game that he wanted to stream at the time. I believe it was a rare role-playing game that went for it wasn't really common. It was some, I don't know. I don't remember it. I believe it might have been Star Ocean 3 at the end of time for the remember this was back then, and he had posted how much he really wanted to do a playthrough, and people requested it, but he couldn't do it because he couldn't find a copy. And boo-hoo, and lo and behold, guess who's got a copy of it?
Right.
So the first thing he does is go on, his vlog and talks about it, and how he has this plan that once he finds the game, he's going to do a stream of it. And
was this before or after he knew you had it?
This was before. Then okay. I had pretty much told him, I spilled the beans and told him that I did, have. He wanted to know what kind of games I had, so I told him, and he goes, "Oh, you have that? You have Star Ocean?" He goes, "Oh my God!" He says, what would you do? What would you do what would you do for can I buy it off of you? Can I, like trade you for it? I'm like going to him, no, I don't want to. Why would I do something like that? And
right, well, because it's like I assume it was like a prized possession of yours because it was really rare. Did you have like good memories playing the game?
Yeah, I do. I remember getting through certain parts of the game. The game was brutally difficult later on if you hadn't gotten refinement in a certain item in the game.
Right.
These I think they were called the boots of prowess or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that, not going through the game without them, and it was doable, but it was pretty difficult when I realized it could have been, at this point late in the game, it could have been so much easier. But anyway, so Phil was starting to get upset, and he was telling me, hey, I'll go ahead and give you I'll pay for the game somehow in some way, or trade with you, and
could you just have lent it to him or something for the playthrough?
Well, I was,
or you didn't want to lend it to him.
Didn't want to because I wasn't sure if he was out to kind of like expose me because of the stream before and the way how he didn't edit his videos. I was put in a position where I didn't really know what was going to happen. I didn't know if, hey, I got this game, and then he goes out and attacks me in my profile.
Right. Well, for all you know, this is DSP, so he could have just sold it on eBay.
Yeah, and or claimed it, that he got the game and it was a
gift. Claim that it was a gift and get angry when you ask for it back.
Yeah, and it was a collector's edition, and it was a steel book, so it was it had a bit of value to me, and I was looking at.
He would have traded it in and given out the empty game case as a.
Oh my god, I remember him doing something like that in some of his videos.
Yeah, it's like the sleaziest thing I've ever seen.
I go, if there was a Dark Souls, yeah, it was, or no, it was Mass Effect too, or
He did give out Dark Souls Collector's Edition too.
yeah, and so when he gave those out, they were empty, and it was just the tin or with the little DVD in it that was the making of you could watch on YouTube. It's like, what the hell, you know?
Right.
But so I went and I told him I'll might as well I'll sell you the game, and because my mother was also in on it too, and she was like, you better not give it away to somebody. Just I'm like, no, because she knew I played the game and she didn't want to buy me more games, and they were expensive. So I said, well, okay, how much me? So he says, oh, how about like, so we agreed on an amount. Then
sorry. So you were thinking of selling it to him?
So I was going to sell it to him.
Oh, why? Because
well, I thought about it, and he kept bugging me, and I said,
so you felt guilty?
Yeah, in a way, because I maybe have in my I wasn't in my maybe I didn't.
Because you felt bad. Sorry, did you feel bad because you weren't doing the streaming and the other, and like you couldn't help him out with the other stuff?
Right, and the Leanne incident, I just was like,
So you felt you owed it to him?
Right, I owed it up to him, so I says, I'll agree to sell you my game, and he says to me that
Sorry, I'm just trying to be I'm trying to not like go on a rant or anything during this, but that is really slimy.
Yeah.
Because he was a dick to you, and then he guilted you about it to try to make you sell like one of your prized possessions to him.
Yeah. And
how much did he sorry, how much were you gonna sell it to him for?
Okay, so the set price that we had in mind was $40.
Right.
$40 in the US. So okay, yeah, that's sure. And so I'll get up next day, and meanwhile I was just watching. So he's just like, give me, watch some more of my videos in the meantime, and let me know what you think, buddy. Okay, you gotta let me know what you think too. If I'm doing something bad in my videos, I don't know, some advice too. And he said, this is getting crazy. I mean, you got hundreds of videos, and you're saying stupid things in your walkthroughs that are just, they're not even funny. They're just dry idiot humor. So the next day comes, or a couple days after that. So he calls my home phone, or instead of actually contacting me online, and I'm not sure why he did that. And when he did, my mother was just like, "Who in the hell is this?" And I, at that time, she didn't. She was familiar with him, but she didn't like him. And I was trying to say, we have this kind of. I told her what had transpired up to this point, and she like just looking at me, going, "Well, gee, yeah. Make sure he's not going to give you any kind of like." Just trying to, like, the mother paranoia, like, make sure he's not going to try to give you any kind of like, drugs or anything, like, drink, make you like drunk and stuff.
Your mother had good instincts.
So I said,
she could tell.
I was laughing so hard. I says, no, and it became a huge giggle match for me. I was just, I'm like that with my mother. It's just like, like a good connection going on there. And right. So I told her, just calm down. And he sounds belligerent, and like, he's yelling on the phone and he wants to know where you called out my name like 100 times. Like, going,
so you're saying your mother's a detractor?
Yeah. And this is I want to say this was like 7 in the morning. So this was
so he called at 7 in the morning about the game?
at 7 in the morning. And
was this a weekend?
yeah, thank God it was a weekend, because
No, but dude, like you want to sleep in, and this asshole's calling you at 7 in the morning.
But I too had, I too had become almost obsessed into this, into my games, and then also much of the internet. So I was like always up late online and that kind of thing. And so I meet with him, and he tells me, he says, you got the game, and I says, yeah. So as we're doing the exchange, I noticed he wasn't giving me $40. He was actually trying to get Leanne to pay for it, but she was giving $10 and not 40. And I said, whoa. I says, wait a minute. That's not what we agreed to, all right? And he throws his hands up and he goes, I need this for streaming. I need to do this. And I need to have, I got to get more views. I'm all about my YouTube channel. It's going to go under if I don't do something new.
He was doing it even back then? Was he like, I'll lose my condo?
I look down and here I am, getting gypped for a game, and I'm feeling bad too. And I'm like, God, why now? I'm listening to this thing about views and YouTube, and it drives me fucking nuts.
So literally, this went back that far. Like he was pulling this shit. Like, if you don't give me something, I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna lose my house. I gotta pay my bills.
He was just. Oh, I'm like, shut up, dude. Oh my God, it's all over a fucking video game. Just please calm down. And then Leanne was rolling her eyes going, oh, pfft. And then she starts walking back and he was just like going, please, you've got to do something. Can you please just lend me the game? And I was just like, you know what? Here you go. So I lent him the damn game. I'm like, just shut up, please.
Wow.
And I felt cheated out of it, because I was like,
because you were cheated.
Yeah, and this was over. I know it's a stupid video game, but for me it was more like, I can't get another copy. What the fuck? My mother's gonna find out, and then surely enough, now it's gonna look even worse.
Uh-huh.
She bought it for me and it was, I told her I wasn't going to give it away. I wasn't going to lose it.
Sorry, how old were you at this time? Just for, if you don't mind saying.
I believe I was
or you can just give a general range. You don't have to tell me.
17.
Okay, so you were impressionable, and Phil's like what? Like,
I don't even remember.
He was older than you, so yeah, okay. So yeah, you were impressionable at that age. There's an older guy who's asking for things from you, who you kind of have, I don't know if you'd say you have a little respect for, but is.
Well, I was just trying, I try my best through this whole thing. Like at one point online, I'm just this deserter just in the backgrounds looking at watching his videos, not really, and then in real life, I'm like this person who's like almost like feeling like I'm his guilt trip or something. It's just like I have to be the one to give him views. I have to be the one to do all this, or else this is gonna happen.
I just before we could, I just wanted to say, like, when you told me you wanted to come on, I had no idea like it was this like deep, and like that it was this, like, this is really messed up. I hope you like it. You said you've been wanting to tell this story for a while.
Yeah, the whole thing though goes further. It's the furthest it can go into is where.
No, you can keep going. I just wanted to just before we continue, I just wanted to thank you for going on. This is a really like fascinating and revealing stream. I hope it's good for you to just kind of get some of this off your chest. I don't know if you're looking at the chat at all, but sorry,
I'm not.
Oh, okay. But the chat is like, you're a good guy. Phil like screwed you. It's very sympathetic. Sorry, yeah, keep going though. I just wanted to thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me, because I've been having the feeling of telling the story, and I was put on the back burner for from the Sons of Kojima, and I just was like, well, how am I ever going to tell my side of the story? And really, it's gonna. I don't want it to go unknown. I don't want it to be not known, because you really need to realize just how much of a bad person he is. And so let me get to
Yeah, we'll just keep going. Okay, so you sold him, you gave him the game after he guilted you about it.
Yeah, and so I went back home, and right immediately I went online and I started looking for another copy. I was so frustrated. I didn't even go on YouTube, and I get email notifications sent to my Yahoo mail at that time, and about him making more videos. And I says, oh God, he got my game. He's got, yeah, of course, he's playing the game now, and and I'm looking for another copy of the game. My mother's yelling at me. Oh boy, how much worse can this really get? And so I said to myself, it's just a game. Just get over it, and hopefully, maybe he'll actually give it back to me, because it's not his, it's mine. And
he didn't even pay you for it.
Right, and he on top of which, he wanted to screw me out of the 40 that we were verbally agreed to.
40 sounds like he was gypping you off for like a collector's edition of a rare game.
Yeah,
that sounds like he was scamming you, but he couldn't even pay you the amount of money that he scammed you into taking.
I know, and that was the whole thing with Leanne bringing me the money. It was like, I thought he was the one. All right, so I thought he was going to be the one that had the income. I didn't think she was the only one that had, all this money, and let alone not even give me anything for the game. I mean, wait a minute. No, it was supposed to be a certain amount. We agreed to.
Sorry, what was it? Star Ocean 3, did you say?
Star Ocean, yeah. I believe
what system was it for?
PlayStation 2.
PlayStation 2, okay.
And, I invested a lot of time and a lot of devotion into that game. Mainly because it was my only. It wasn't my only RPG game at the time that I played. It was more of just something that I was focused on at the time.
Right. Well, all of us have a game. Like for me, what I really liked was Tactics Ogre Knight of Lotus for GBA, and I played that a lot. I played Mega Man Battle Network 3 a lot, and like the Pokemon games. We all kind of have that game that's like kind of a cherished childhood memory that you can go back to time and time again.
Yeah. And for me, it's trying to get back in touch with my the old games that I played in my inner youth. Especially today, it's not as hard, but I will say it doesn't have as much as it did before when I first started playing them.
Right.
To get that nostalgia trip, and so I'm waiting for him basically to give me my game back, and ironically enough, he comes out with some kind of video, and he says that he found another platform and he was going to start streaming on that platform. Now, I had no idea what the platform was, and as a result, he said that most of the videos, oh no, my videos of Star Ocean of the game I gave him was practically, on another platform. Then he comes to me, and I'm going, what is it? And he says, I need to know if you can get me if you can get me something wrong with the game disc. And I told him what, and he was, I didn't remember any part of that game ever having an issue on my console. And it could vary depending on the console condition and also the discs. But I kept my games in pristine condition. I don't fool around. I don't leave them hanging around. Like some people are just ridiculous. They'll take a stack of Blu-rays or video games even today, and would you believe me if I told you that they put them on those metal disc holders, those that it's like a stick sticking up with a base on it where you can put things onto it, discs.
Yeah.
So he some people actually put game disc and they put them on there and it scratches them up, and it really.
You mean not like the thing for the cases, right?
Not for the cases, no. It's like in the middle of the cases, but it's a long rod and it's on a base, and you just.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, because writable discs used to come like that.
Yeah, I think that's where it stemmed from. And I've seen people lazily just throw their game discs on the wherever they are, and of course it damages them. It makes them scratched, and he was telling me something was wrong with the disc, and then so he told me to come over, and I said, "Oh, you want me to come over? Well, yeah, I'll be happy to come over." Especially to get to check out, see what's wrong with the game disc, but also to get my damn game back, because you're sure as hell right that I'm angry about it.
Sorry, was that Star Ocean until the end of time?
Yes.
Okay, that was the game. Okay.
Yeah. It was on PlayStation 2, so I believe that there was only one.
Right.
And he had Leanne. Someone Leanne knew picked me up with Leanne, and it was kind of like, where the hell is Phil? Like, where is he? What's going on? And that was really, not comfortable for me. I felt like I was going to, like she was going to bitch at me because she didn't like the price or something, and she was going to try to like shake me down for money because I might have said something off topic to her, which is
sorry, who was going to shake you down for money?
Leanne.
What? Sorry, why was she going to shake you down for money?
Because she was on. I believe she had her own vlogs at some point in time.
Right.
And she was talking about me, and not so much Phil, but just about other people in her life. And this is coming from somebody who has been real sheltered by him, I have to say, throughout his whole entire having her when they were living together. To me, he was being a complete asshole with not giving her any kind of friends. She didn't have many friends. She didn't really have anyone to go out with. And here, I'm going to Phil's house. I'm angry. She's asking me these questions.
Sorry, just a side, like, what do you know about fixing games? Like, it just seems weird that he'd want you to, like, fix a video game.
I believe he wanted for me to pretty much just like, oh, hey, your disc is scratched, but I scratched it instead, and I'm going to make you look
bad. He's trying to get you. He's trying to blame you for him destroying the disc.
I've had people screw around with me, like my cartridges on my N64, Game Boy Advance, and Nintendo DS. Were like,
so he literally broke your disc and then tried to blame you
for down to fix it, and hey, I don't know what's going on with it. And so we go over to his place, and I go in there, and Phil's just like, he's looking down, he's going, oh my God, and he's got the controller in his hand, and he looks at me, and I'm going, yeah. I'm not. That's my kind of my expression I'm trying to talk about, and he's like he brings over the desk and he's going, oh my god, he says I'm sorry over his like over and over to like I guess the people that he's streaming to, because they're like wondering what's going on, and he's like, I don't know, he's having a disc problem. So I go to look at the disc, and the discs look absolutely fine, like I had them originally, so there was no damage dealt to the discs at all. So it was kind of strange, and I said, well, what is really going on? And then I said, actually I can care less, I just want my freaking game back. And he was just like, I need to stream, I need to get the stream, I need to get the videos out, and he's going blah 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 blah. I'm like, and Leanne's like, oh my god, Phil, would you please shut the fuck up? And he
was guilting you again about
yeah, and so like I'm there to be his defense in this whole thing, and like he puts me out. He called me he called me out on stream. He goes, oh, don't worry guys, it's gonna get fixed. So then he starts showing me his setup, and it looks like a freaking rat's nest of wires, controllers that are just flandered all over the place. And Leanne is like, she's like, so isn't there something maybe wrong with your system maybe? And I gave him the look, and I said, did you think maybe it was your game console? So he was showing me his game console. I would have had no interest. Yeah, whatever. I got my game. So because he gave it to me, and he just showed me the disc, and I guess he forgot all about. And but little did I know, the disc was still in his PlayStation. It was still in his PlayStation too. So I was just like, I didn't remember that. And I looked at the console, and apparently it looked like it was having a disc reading error. And I said, there's a slim PlayStation 2 model that you can, go out and get, and it's a lot better than the old. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the old PlayStation models, but they used to have a disc loading
something,
and they were bigger, but they were notorious for having disc read error problem.
Yeah, I didn't have one, but I do remember something about that.
Yeah, and he was showing me, and I said, well, let's put in another. Let's try another game. He goes, oh no, we can't do that.
No, we can't.
Stream, and I'm going, oh god forbid it. I'm like, okay, well.
So he's talking to you on stream like this.
Yeah, I'm going.
Do you know if that's still up? Because I might go see if I could find that. Because he's too lazy to edit anything. So
I don't. I'm too embarrassed to go look myself, because
I might go look sometime.
I was like trying to troubleshoot in front of all these people that I don't know, and
he couldn't even mute the mic.
Like I can't really, I can't do much other than like look at the disc, and he's telling me I can't open the disc tray because he's streaming the game, and I'm like, well, if it's showing an error message, what are you doing with a blank screen on, you dummy? Take the disc out of the disc tray and let's see what's going on here. I mean, is it the disc, or could it be something else? I don't know. His whole setup, by the way, was atrocious. It was, you have no idea how much of a rat's nest this.
I imagine it was filthy. Like, was it just caked in dust and shit?
It was caked on brownish looking cat hair dust, and
ew. He doesn't even own a cat.
I don't. Well, I don't know, because I believe Leanne might have maybe had one at some point.
Right. Does he smell really bad? Because he seems like he has bad personal hygiene.
Yeah, that was a thing too. The stench in that place was unbearable. And
sorry, just a side note, because he did a video. I'm not sure if you saw it, but he said that he has not dusted or vacuumed his house since he moved in 4 years ago.
Just why? I mean, oh my god.
Like I vacuum every week. I was like floored when he said that. I can't even like imagine living in those conditions.
I can't have my game consoles or anything looking that caked on with dust.
Well, it's disgusting. No wonder he has like such bad allergies. He lives in a cesspool.
And also on top of that, the his his clearing throat constantly, his his that kind of thing, and he claims he's got this medical condition about it. I honestly believe to this day it is because of that dust, from inhaling it, that he's got that.
Well, yeah. I mean, if he literally has not vacuumed or cleaned anything in like 3 to 4 years, that would be a pretty good way to get yeah, allergies. Or you
And
could even get like eczema, or I don't know what it's called, but you could get like some kind of lung disease.
yeah, because there's dust mites, and I'm sure they could probably cause that. It's pretty disgusting. But so
Okay, so you're over there trying to
I'm
fix
over
the
there,
game.
and I can't really get to the PlayStation 2 because it's literally got a bunch of wires
and shit on it. Oh yeah.
Yes, I mean, like I said, like the rat's nest. What I mean by that is, you could not see the consoles. He had such a crooked setup that it was getting to the point where couldn't almost see the game console. I mean, this is a PlayStation 2,
Right.
and so he says, "All right, guys, I gotta go now for this stream." But he says, "I'll try to see if I could I'll have more up by tomorrow." Okay, there's nothing I can do about
it. Does he say it is what it is? Nothing I can do, but I digress in real life.
Yeah, and the whole throwing his arms up too, like as if he's being put on the spot, and it's hilarious when he does that in real life. It really makes him look like he knows what he's doing. He's like a pathological liar. And so he turned the stream off. I looked at the game console, and surely enough, it wasn't reading any discs. I says, "So you got to get a new PlayStation 2." And he says, "Well, how does it die just in the middle of the game like that?" And I'm like, well, it's how do I explain this? So I try to explain the best way I can to him and not get overly technical. And then Leanne chimes in, and then he starts going, "Oh my God, I need this. I need my PlayStation 2. What am I gonna do?" And then he goes, "You got a PlayStation 2." He says, "What if you bring it over and I could do some streams on your PlayStation 2?" I go,
"What?" So he took your game and now he wants your PS2?
Oh yeah. So I had given him. I got my game back now. Well, not really, but sort of. And now he's starting to go on. He's saying, "Oh, I need a game. I need a PS2 by tomorrow." And now he's to the point where he's like going, "You've got to get me you got to get me a PlayStation 2." So, and then he's telling Leanne, and Leanne's shaking her head, going, "Oh no!" Like he's constantly going to her, and she just is not going to do it. And I'm going to myself, oh, I'm just like, I wish I didn't tell him I had a PlayStation 2. And I said, "How about a PlayStation 3? Or doesn't he have a PlayStation 3? But his PlayStation 3 was the old.
Does it not play Star Ocean? Because I don't know if all the games are backward compatible or not.
So the 60 gig, the old PS3 model, around that time, it was an 80 gig model that wasn't backwards compatible. And there was one that was backwards compatible, but it wasn't in hardware. It wasn't hardware. It was software.
Okay. Right.
And he had the one that had the software emulation, so it was the 80 gig console. And I remember he had it set up, and it was underneath cords, and I don't believe it had HDMI to it. And he didn't have the he had the old composite cables, and he wanted it in HD at least, because, you know, for him it had to be HD, best visual quality, because his cam was such shit, pointing it at the center at the TV, that it wasn't going to make a difference, really, you know. And his PlayStation 3 turned on, and then all of a sudden he put in the game. It worked for about, I would say maybe about a good 20 minutes or so. Then it shuts down, blinking red light, which means it overheated.
Do you think like because didn't it have an issue with the fans getting clogged up and then it overheated?
Well, you see, because of it being so dusty in there and so nasty, I think that's what caused it to completely overheat, because it was not getting proper ventilation. He had it up against his wall it was vertical, it wasn't horizontal, and the old PlayStation 3s had a vent underneath, and they removed that in the current model at that time, but the one he had the vent on the bottom, and it was just blocked, so it had no way of circulating, so it didn't overheat, and it just overheated. And he just goes, "Now what the?" He's swearing, going, "What the, F am I gonna do?" He goes, "Oh, geez," and he's crying to Leanne about, "I got to get the stream up," and she's going, "Oh, I don't want to hear about it," and she's just into him and telling him how she feels about the whole thing.
So they like fight all the time, because that like seems to be the impression I get.
And they were fighting even as far back as then too.
Right.
And I was like, I felt like a third wheel. Honestly, I felt like a freaking third wheel. I was just like, oh, now I guess what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? And
so did you bring him the PS2? That's what everybody's asking.
No, I did not bring the PS2 because Leanne had to go out, and he ended up going with her, and he brought me with him. So he brought his PS3 in, he brought it into GameStop, and he yells at the GameStop employees. He goes, "So this doesn't work anymore, and I'm wondering what the heck's going on. I'm wondering if you can fix it. This guy over here in games in the GameStop employee." And the guy's looking at him and going, he's like, "We don't fix PlayStation 3s." And he's like, "Well, what can you do? Because I really need to get..." He's talking all about going into his stream and who he is. He says, "Don't you know I'm DSP?"
Like some random employee at GameStop is gonna know who he is.
I was there inside. I was cracking up. I could see Phil from far away because he was way ahead of me, and there was people in line, and they were all like going, "Oh God, when one guy here is getting." And then so the manager comes out with another PlayStation 3, and he says, "Well, you can buy another one, and you could try and this one. You try this one out; it works just fine." And so I guess Phil had bought another PlayStation 3, and Leanne ended up buying it for him because she was rolling her eyes the entire time, and she was just, oh, they were fighting verbally, and he came out with a new PlayStation 3, and then he got back to his place. They brought me back. Then I go, so the next part of this whole fiasco with the streaming thing. By the way, he still has my game. And
oh, you never got it back from him?
No, I had never.
Did you see him again after that?
Yeah, but here's the thing. So he needed, because of his disparity in streaming and needing all these views, got him to the point where he got his PlayStation 3 at home, and then he starts, "Okay, so people, this is the new PlayStation 3. He's doing an unboxing video."
Oh yeah, an unboxing video.
It's so cringy because he is eating in the middle. of doing the unboxing, and also it's one of those refurbished PlayStation 3s. So there's
Right.
not much there to unbox because it's already kind of, or it's already packaged, but in a different way. It's not packaged in a nice new way, or, and he's going on about the smell. Oh, it's got a nice, it's got the nice ports in the front of it again, and then while
I mean, there's not like my 3DS is used and it's perfectly fine. It doesn't smell. It doesn't.
yeah, my I have a 3DS. Well, mine doesn't smell or anything like that. I cleaned it, and honestly, he was just making such a big deal over this used thing, and I was talking about something about, you know, you better be having a good time with it, or that kind of an attitude. And he was just eating and doing the unboxing, and it was so bad. I was laughing. I'm going, oh my god, this is ridiculous. And so he goes on a rant shortly after that with another video. This is where it gets good. Turns out the PlayStation 3 that he bought in the store, that was also an 80 gig PlayStation 3, that he was thinking, oh, it's got backwards compatibility. Oh, I'm going to be able to play Star Ocean 2. So he puts in the disc, unrecognizable disc, or cannot play PlayStation 2 discs on this console. And he goes, what? And he cannot believe what's going on. He's going, GameStop sold me a crappy PlayStation 3. Doesn't PlayStation 2 games. What the hell? And he's like, this isn't right. We got to do. He says he's got to do something to GameStop, or no, he's got to do something to Sony for taking away the PlayStation 2 emulation. And he's going on his video about it. And I was sitting there and I'm going to myself, oh shit, you're kidding me. He got a PlayStation 3 that doesn't play PlayStation 2 games because they took away the emulation. And yeah, so he ended up with a new PlayStation 3, but forgetting the fact that it was, or used a newer used PlayStation 3, and not being able to play PlayStation 2 games. And I go to myself, so what's he gonna do next? And I said, I'm gonna go back and ask him for my game, because now he really has no way of playing PlayStation 2.
Right, like what use is it to him? He can't play it.
Right, and excuse me, he goes, he calls. I guess he was going back to GameStop again so we can return it, and they said, oh no, we don't have any more PlayStation 3s. The second time in a row, and because it was really difficult unless you looked at the model numbers, which one had the PlayStation 2 emulation. The dead giveaway for that was the USB ports on the front of it. The 4 USB ports was the backwards compatible one, and the one that was 2 was not. And he didn't, obviously, people were pointing it out to him. Phil, you got to understand something. This model has a number of ports on the front of it. It's not backwards compatible. He didn't understand it. I even went as far as go in depth about it, and he was just going, oh, I gotta stream, what am I gonna do? And I don't think he had too many PlayStation 3 games. I honestly don't remember him streaming any PlayStation 3 games. It was just he wanted it for a backup for his PlayStation 2 games that he was playing.
Right. Okay. So he got the PS3. So you went back to the game. They're like, okay, dude, I'd like my game back. So what did he say when you asked for your game back?
So he said, don't come over. He says, don't come over because I'm having problems with Leanne. And I says, okay, well, I still want my damn game back. So I had to wait. And once he got back in touch with me, he says, I got a PlayStation 2, so guess what? I can play Star Ocean again. I don't need to have any I don't need your help anymore. I go, oh, that's nice. Hey, you had my game for now about a week and a half, and I'm kind of like, I kind of want it back. And he says, yeah, no, absolutely. He goes, but I'll totally pay for it too. And I'm like, no, I want my game back. I don't want it. I don't want the money for it because I honestly don't want to go digging around for another copy of it.
Right.
And he's like, so he streamed, and he didn't stream Star Ocean 3. He was streaming some other game at that time. So little did I know was, what was going on. And then he had this vlog, another vlog, and he went on a tirade about something. And then he started he told me in one of my in a PM that that he sold a bunch of he sold some stuff that was his, and it turned out one of the things he sold was the game that I had lent him. And I didn't believe him. I was like, well, hold on a minute. How could you screw that up? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it was my game and everything like that. He goes, oh yeah, it was. But he says, I had to sell it because I had some stuff to pay back. It was just like total disrespect for me because I kind of trusted he was gonna. I thought I was gonna get my game back, and so
repeat that. Sorry, I missed that last part. Or sorry,
I was under the impression I was gonna get my game back because he told me he was going to. He said I'll give you your game back, and then next thing you know, he said that he sold some of his stuff along with when he meant some of his games.
Sorry, he sold your game?
Yeah, he sold my game.
He sold what the fuck?
And yeah, and I was upset.
Okay, because I had said that earlier in the story as like a joke, but like he actually did that. Wow.
He was bragging. Someone asked him on this time he had like a following point where he had I don't remember where it was, but it was some forum, and they asked him, and he replied, I just got some money from some stuff that I'm for some more new equipment that I'm going to purchase so my streams look better, which was bullshit because they ended up not being better. And it turned out he got collector's buying price out of the freaking game, most likely. It was just when he said the amount of money, I says, yeah, it sounds like he sold the game. And
so he specific. So that wasn't just something he threw in a pile then, because he makes it sound like, oh, it was in a pile of shit I sold. Like, it makes it sound like he just took a bunch of shit to GameStop and he's like, oops, I didn't realize it was in there. He specifically like found a collector and sold it to them. Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, why did you do this to me? Like, you knew it was my game. You knew it wasn't yours. Why did you do it? And he avoided me. He goes, and he's apologizing to me, and he's saying you should have done this and that so that I would have known your game was your game and not somebody.
What? You kept asking for it back.
Not everybody like goes ahead and tags their video games. Like, I remember in the SNES era, we used to write our initials on our games if we were going over to the house, in case something got lost or something, and a pile of games that we couldn't find it or something, it would have our initials, so it would be ours.
Yeah, but like, at least when I was growing up, if you borrow a game from someone, it's your responsibility to remember it. It's your responsibility to make sure you don't damage it, and it's your responsibility to give it back. like you shouldn't have to like market or whatever. It's
Right.
just I don't know.
And so I got pissed off, but I still persisted, and I kept asking him, "Why did you do this? Why did you?" And he kept avoiding me, and he was like telling me, "Oh, just go and give me some more views. That's what I think would be a good idea." And I'm just in such disbelief at this point. I cannot believe he actually sold my freaking game, and also now he's begging. He's to the point where he's begging me for more fucking views.
So he sold the game and he's like guilting you that he's like poor and he doesn't have enough money.
Yeah,
It
and
is basically what you're telling me.
money. I'm like, Phil, just what the hell? What the hell? I'm to the. I'll be honest with you. I really wanted to kill him at one point. I was at my breaking point, and then he comes to me online and says, "I just figured something out." He says, "I know what else I could do with this money. I could make a website. I can make like not like a website, but like a forum that everybody, all these people that are viewing my videos can go to, and we can talk about what they think they're because YouTube, I guess, was doing a thing back then where they were quote unquote deleting accounts and videos half a dozen a night, and it was like a big huge fiasco. Some YouTubers that were well known had lost their YouTube accounts, and they were crying to get them back because they didn't do anything wrong, and YouTube just deleted them, and it was just out of the blue.
Right.
And then they would say that there was some kind of error in the system. It was some ridiculous, stupid thing like that. It was.
Mm-hmm.
It was. I remember it though, and oh, Phil said, let's. He says, can I make him? Can I make a forum? Do I know how to make a forum? And I says, no, I don't really know how to make a forum. I don't know anything about that. And he says, well, you got people that that could stand by me and help out with.
You were really there for like all the like all the kind of the big events.
Well, I wouldn't say big events. It was just more like.
You just kind of happened to be around for kind of some big things like the starting of the King of Hate forums and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And,
I guess like he doesn't really. There's something I've kind of noticed with Phil. He doesn't really have any close friends, so he just kind of talks about anything to anybody.
right.
Like he gives out a lot of like personal info. Like the whole thing with his girlfriend, I maintain like he shouldn't. Sorry, I'll let you talk in a second. But like with his new girlfriend, I just think he shouldn't have brought it up. Like there's no reason to tell anybody. He just should have not mentioned it. And yeah.
Yeah, and
But he basically was like baiting people to try to find his girlfriend. He's like, "Oh, I have this new girlfriend. She's super secret. You guys will never figure out who she is."
yeah, and that was the whole blow up over what I was talking to her about, and he was always trying to be between it, like, hey, what the hell are you trying to do? And at the same time, it was just like, Phil, I was under the impression that we were just having a just. I wasn't really talking with her. It was just some side thing. It wasn't really anything.
Oh, sorry, did he bring it up again?
No. But
Okay.
but during that time, he was just being himself. He was super obnoxious over it. He wanted to know everything that was going on, and even though he was doing the streaming, he was just like, he kept it in, and then he started getting belligerent about it. And
Right. So the whole PS2 thing, he sold your game. What happened after that?
what happened is he met somebody at that time who actually knew. Didn't know anything about web design, but knew people that did, that was going to help him. And the forums was created at that point in time. The forums came around, and people started coming in, and it started looking he was asking me for any advice, and I was telling him, oh yeah, sure, it looks good, and yeah, you still owe me a freaking video game. But I was so sore over that. I was pissed, and he decided to go ahead and give me access to his forums in exchange because he wanted me to be more, I guess, kind to him, because he knew I was pissed off at him.
Right. Sorry, did you say he wanted you to be an admin on his forums?
Right. And now this is where my conflict comes into play. The person that he had gotten to make his web and to help him out was somebody by the name, who went the online name of KG Galleon.
Okay, Galleon, yeah.
Yeah, and he is a huge fucking prick. I'm just gonna say that right now. He's no joke, people. He is a complete asshole. I mean, he literally was like, "Oh, who is this? Who's that?" And, "Oh, Phil, hey, you need to know who this person is and what their address." He was even going as far as to show, like you were saying, doxing. And I got scared, and I says, "Well, why the hell did you get somebody like this that on your forums?" He was like an attack dog. Every new person he would bring out to Phil was like under fire for him, because he wanted to know, he had some conniption fit where he wanted to know every person that was coming in and out of his site, because he wanted like a
because I remember during the false copyright stuff, DSP went on and he went, "I have your name, I have your IP, I have your address," and it turned out that like they were recording the IPs of everyone who visited his website.
And I'll tell you right now, that was another thing. The copyright. He told me he got in a copyright strike at some point in time, and it was all over an Atlas game, which was Persona 4. And
oh, you were like talking to him up to like that recently?
No, not like I was in the before. This was very rarely, on occasion, he used to come and ask me about what I thought about the video. And right up to this point, I don't even fucking care. I honestly don't give a shit, because the next part of this story, and the big part about where it gets bad, is the Project 7 deal.
Okay.
Now, the projects, I don't mean to jump around like this so radically, but I have to get to the Project 7.
Okay, go ahead.
This is the main thing. So Phil had been talking about Project 7 like it was going to be, this fun little activity, but it was going to be almost like his own show. And then he was talking about, at that time, money and how much it was going to, he didn't want it to be a big production, but it looked like it was. So it was like, to me, it was like, it was, okay, what other kind of shit can he really say about it? And it was just, so he comes to Howard to contact me, and I had never met Howard before, and I didn't even know it was Howard. And he had told me something about Project 7. Phil wanted to know if you would be willing to be like a consultant on this whole Project 7 thing. And I just said, honestly, leading up to this point, in that point in time, I was like, okay, well, I don't want nothing to do with the guy. I don't want nothing to do with Phil. But you know what? If I can maybe make something out of, help with the with the computer side of things, okay, maybe there's something there that, can be done. Who knows?
Hmm.
So I agreed, and as everyone knows, it just nothing had came of it, and it was just becoming less and less of a thing.
Did you meet the Respect the Pack guys?
No, I
Oh,
don't
okay.
respect the Pat guys, but Phil had at that time had gotten a computer that was put together, and it was done really bad, and that computer was actually was one of the things that he blew the most money on that stupid thing that he could have saved money, because building a computer is really a night is really a good hobby thing that I like to do, and I'm well into it, and all the parts that went into that. Okay, I can just want to say this, that he picked some truly horrendous things of that build that he could have done better. But anyways, the computer part of it that Howard was talking about was, trying to get that Phil was going to be paying everyone money in order to get this going. That was the big thing,
For Project 7?
Project 7.
Right,
And
because he made a lot of money off of it, I think. So it's only fair to compensate the people.
right. And I was basically the one to fix. I had a setup, and I told Phil, I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do, and I'll be part of the forums, be a part of these certain things. And I told him no, because I don't like the forums are toxic. There's ignorant people on there. There's that you got your freaking KG Galleon on there. I don't want and nothing. And he's just a terrible as much as Phil is when it comes to stuff, especially the doxing. It got out of hand, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go on the forums. And I guess John Rambo had actually gotten on the forums and wasn't there for very long, and he was pretty upset about. I remember him telling me he was upset about that, bits and pieces here and there. But the thing that made it even worse was we had all he Phil had sat down with all of us. I was to help him, not really help him, but like be a technical, in case something had gone wrong in the filming process or something of that nature. And he showed me the computer that he got, and the thing just was, not playing games that he wanted it to. And then he was telling me, well, with this, maybe you can do something on the side with it, or So he gave me access to use his computer, and it was there wasn't really much to this whole thing. It looked like it was just not going to happen. And um, he comes up to me one time and feels like talking talking to Leanne, and this time she doesn't even like care about him, and she does like like a face heel turn. She becomes like sort of a bad guy, and even worse than she was before when I first met her. And Bill's telling me about all these PC parts that could be upgraded to his PC, and
Because his PC is actually good. He just needs a new video card. He just doesn't know how to use it.
yeah, and
I think he has like an i7 in it or something.
yeah, it's on a very my system's a Haswell build system. Believe I believe his was Ivy Bridge E, which is a very different. It's like, I don't say X99, but something along that lines. and it's where the motherboard is very expensive, and the CPUs are, because the CPUs are all i7s on that chipset. He had gotten so he gotten the i7, but he said that something else was wrong. He bought some PC parts and he wanted another PC to be built, and I had agreed to it. And he was giving me, he was asking me how much it was going to cost. Well, actually, I told him how much it was all going to cost. He was totally just like, oh God, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then he's telling, I gotta spend more money. Like, yeah, Phil, computers don't grow on, things don't grow on trees like that, and you can't just pick them up. That the way he was, the stuff that he needed to build this computer was not gonna come cheap.
Right.
And I showed him online, and he's just going, oh well. I think that would be okay. I mean, I don't mind spending that kind of dough. But he says I could really use some help because this month's going to be slow. It's going to be really hard on me. And so John and John Rambo and Howard were talking about it, and I was talked about him with him, and we all decided we were going to pitch in to some computer parts for Phil's computer. However, it seemed like I was the only one that was actually buying the PC parts.
Sorry. He asked for money for his computer.
Well, not outright ask for the money. The parts were the things that, like I said, that we went over, and I told him what he needed in order to get the computer to be fully functional, because he only had the motherboard, and I think it's like some CPU fans, so he didn't really have anything to this, and not even a case. While he had his other computer that was, as everyone knows, it was a piece of shit. It was just he doesn't take care of it. And this other computer was supposed to be this backup computer, but finally he says, no, I think I want to have this as an actual gaming computer because I want to start live streaming games on my PC. And despite the fact he has no idea what the hell he's doing, and he's telling me to put having these parts that are in his crappy computer now into this new one. And I was just going, well, that's a possibility, but the games that you want to run and their requirements are kind of, at this time, they're kind of hefty compared to what he had.
Because I know he wanted to run everything 60 frames per second. I can't even tell the difference between 60-30.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just 60 frames. He was going on about at that time 1440p was just around the corner. So he was now thinking about that, which is 4K territory. And for that, the top of the line graphics card that I recall was the GTX 780 Ti, and then there was also a Titan card, which NVIDIA all has thrown out since the 700 series.
Right.
And completely shucking everybody in the process of that NVIDIA, because 780 Ti was like this flagship card, and the 780 owners were getting clipped because NVIDIA wanted their drivers for their latest and greatest. They didn't want to bring too much game-ready drivers to the 780, and the 780 Ti and the Titan were getting all the treatment. And so anyways, Phil says, well, I'm going to go for this video card right here. And it was basically what he wanted was a Titan card, which cost well over $1,000 at the time. And that was like going to be impossible because his power supply he had was a dinky little 550-watt power supply. It was not a reputable one. It was made by, I think it was one of those Corsair units. But even then, it wouldn't have been able to even hold a Titan with a clocked CPU like that. I mean, it just would not power up, and he wouldn't take no for an answer. You know, he was just, oh, this is going to be so great, and I'm going to have all this stuff ready, and then he came up to us and said something like, I don't know if I can really afford all of this, and he told Howard and John something, and then each of us he came up to and said, so I have an idea. And I was like, well, what's the idea? And he kept beating around the bush. Oh, I like the Titan. Yeah, maybe I should go for the 780 Ti. You know what? I don't know. So I'm just gonna go shoot out for this. So I'm gonna. It's a shot in the dark, but I have it because I gotta have everything. I'm Phil Brunel, and so he tells me, can you throw in some money towards the graphics card? And I said, well, since I'm pretty, I could find you a deal. Who knows? Maybe someone on the secondary market's got one, doesn't need it. And that's where he was starting to lean towards. He wanted. My understanding of this was that Howard and John and me were all going to pitch in towards the purchase of this computer. Well, this computer now just became the graphics card. He doesn't have anything else lined up. He has a case. He has nothing at all that he wants. It's just this graphics card, and it's starting to think maybe it's for his other computer that is, like you said, is really good, but he just doesn't. Its graphics card is terrible. So he probably just wants the Titan, right? So he says, I'll pay you back. I'll give you some money to give to you because I know it's going to be a burden on you. And I had the money, and I told him, I'll have a certain amount of the cost to the Titan, which I agreed to. And I was under the impression that Howard and John were going to take care of the rest of it. And Phil too, and himself, because this is what he wants. Not everyone's going to, no one has to buy you this just because your Project 7 and everything. But this was such an idea that, it's got to be known. It's got to be done. And so, stupidly, I went up to Phil and I went to the bank and I gave him a pretty good amount of money, almost half of the cost of what the graphics card would go for back at that time. This was back in 2013, 2014. And, well, after a couple of days, he just said, well, forget about it. You don't have to really buy me the card at all and anything like that. And he says, I'm going to instead buy some new games and some new consoles instead, and maybe a new TV. And I'm going to myself, wait a minute. I just gave you $400 thinking that you were going to actually do something with Project 7, and we were going to fix this computer problem that you had, and you have to have this graphics card, and now all of a sudden you're telling me that you're going to go back on the whole entire thing? And he just goes, well, I have no other choice right now. And then he's talking about his living expenses. He's talking about owing money to this. And in the back of my mind,
So, why were you still hanging out with Phil at this point in time?
I wasn't hanging out with him. I was checking in to see how he was, to see his videos, how it looked like, not his videos, but like how his gameplay footage was. He wanted me to be, part of Project 7 in a big way. He says, I gotta have you on Project 7 because it was like the thing in the world to him at that time. And it was gonna bring him in a lot of money. And it'll cover the costs, of all you guys have.
Now, some people in the chat, I'm not accusing you of anything, but some people are wondering if this story is real.
Yes, it is.
Okay, because they think some people are wondering. I don't know, just whether or not. Okay, well,
this was not known. It has to be known as a transaction somewheres, because he did go and buy the video card, and he did buy it, but he never did anything with it.
Right.
And the frustrating thing is that I was under the impression that since he didn't want it no more, he was going to give us back the money that he gave us, that we gave him to buy this video card for him.
Right.
Turns out he just completely fucked us over and never gave us back the money. He never gave us back anything. He says, I got to make more videos. I have to have this new, YouTube's got this ad revenue, and I got views, so I got all this income, this net share, and all this sort of thing. And he's talking about Machinima. He's talking about this other thing with Machinima, and he's going to be partnered with them. It's going to be really great. And
sorry, not to just. Would you say you're a naive person?
I mean, possibly for when it came to this, yes.
Yeah, because I guess to a certain extent, would you just say it was kind of you kind of got in a little bit more, and then kind of once you realized what was going on, just all this stuff had happened?
Well, yeah. I thought to myself each time I communicated with him that, who knows? I don't know what I didn't keep up with his videos. I didn't keep up with his videos until after I the whole thing with the SOK, and then I started watching the videos. And back then in 2013, 2014, I was not living closer to Phil. It was so sort of far away. So this was like an escape for me to get out of the crappy living situation that I was living in.
Right.
I felt like if I had an important role and I could help somebody out, despite where I lived, and I was trying to get myself out of it, but little did I know that I was under the impression that this Project 7 was actually going to happen.
Right.
I thought this was going, because he kept going on about it. But no, Project 7 had been canceled. And the thing that gets me is that he never reimbursed. I don't know about John. I don't know about Howard.
John said he got some money because he said that if he didn't get money for down payment on a car, he couldn't keep participating in Project 7. So he did give John some money.
Yeah, and I mean, it still isn't. It still isn't right though, and I got played into his stupid fucking game, honestly. And yes, I do feel stupid about it. And you know, I gave him I gave it to him based on his whining and his constant need for getting more views, more shebang, if you
Well,
will.
it's. I think what it is you seem like a good guy, and it's hard. It's hard if somebody comes to you and they're like, "Guys, we have this." Actually, just go on. Sorry, I'm just getting a text. Go ahead.
It's just really frustrating that for me that I was under the impression, I believe we all were, that, well, certainly me, because he was, but in a way, he used me in order to get this, because he knew he was going to get everything, and I was going to be the one hurting after it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And God, I just my life was different back then, a little different. It was not the best life, and for me, the whole thing was about helping out people to try to make myself not get depressed, not for things to affect me. And I think I'm doing the right thing, because you know he's a gamer just like I am, and I know, we hung out, and the whole Evo thing, and well, all right. I thought, hey, I feel kind of bad, because if it was me, in this situation, I would want, and I wouldn't be coming up begging somebody for any kind of money or anything like that. I would run, you know, I'd have my parents, or I'd ask somebody else to help me out. But bottom line is, for something that expensive like the Titan was,
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I can't, I would never ask for something like that. Never, because I know I can't afford it. He should have known that if he had no expenses for it, that why would he come to me? Because he, in a way, it's like he was manipulating me. Oh, I need, hey, look at this graphics card. This whole thing, getting him up to date with another computer, it was just not a right idea. And looking back on it now, it was really fucking stupid of me to actually have gone in and helped him. But I felt, because, like I said before, also too, that, you know, I don't know. My feelings are on this are just, it's frustrating. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was under the impression that doing this person a favor, I didn't know him to be this evil. And it not until I seen after his videos and kept up this time now, that it was as bad as, like everyone else, like everyone knows now and says today. And I wish I had known that back then. If I had known that and seen his videos as they are today, I would have never have done what I had done. And honestly, I know, to me, money ain't got no, it doesn't have any owners. It's only spenders. So, be with, you can have whatever I can afford to throw into the pot. And I shouldn't have went that far. I
Right.
understand that, but my chance to shine in the IT department got way too ahead of me, and I ended up getting seriously burned over it. And to answer the question, if the chat's asking, I had recovered from it, but it still sucked that I had given somebody my money out of trust that I had in that he was going to deliver something and never fucking did. You know, it was why after he turned around and became two-faced about the whole graphics card. I couldn't believe, and I stopped talking to him, and I told him, I said, Phil, can you please tell me what the hell just fucking happened? And he told me, and I said to myself, this whole time now this whole time you were lying to me. This thing for this graphics card, it was just to get money out of me, somebody who is you got out of me a game that I borrowed, that I lent to you. You sold the damn thing on me. Then I let it go. Now you come back to me for my help on this Project 7, and I think, it was going to be something good. I was going to try to make it at least be presentable. And no, it wasn't going to happen. It was not going to happen. And then it got even worse. It got so under my skin that I didn't know. I honestly didn't know who to go, some people suggested, why didn't you sue the guy? And I told him, because at that time he was already, this time he was already moving to Washington State, and it was he was back and forth in Connecticut too. He was coming around, and the whole gathering for Project 7 was completely under grabs, and nobody knows every single thing where it took place. But the bottom line is that it's not, he gypped me out of pocket, and also out of respect for him. I lost all my respect for him. That was the most important thing ever, was that, I'm not saying for you to have respect, Phil, but at least you could have been decent enough, and you could have had told me, well, I don't know, possibly maybe you shouldn't have done what you did, but you did it anyways.
Right. So was that the last time you talked to Phil? The Project 7 Project 7, when that fell apart?
Yeah. Well, no. I stopped talking to him after I got gypped, and I had on and off. No, not on and off. I actually had been in contact with him, but it was few bits between, over the course of a few months, trying to get things straightened out. Why did you lie to me, Phil? Why did you play me? Where the fuck? Oh, Project 7's coming. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. It's just gonna be taking. It's just taking a while, because I gotta have all these videos up. I gotta have all this shit that in my life. I gotta have the fast food. I gotta go out. I gotta have all these things, and honestly, I'm just feeling like I was just like I was just taken complete advantage of.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, that's a sad story, man. It does definitely sound like he was gaslighting you. He was kind of went back and forth between like, oh, I'm sorry, but then not being sorry, and insulting you, but then liking you again, and just trying to kind of use you for money and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it was not good. It was not good, and I felt battered like a tool, and I told him, and he did. He tried to be, oh, don't worry about it. He kept on, and I said, I am worried about it because, and I waited for so long. I said to myself, it's just stupid money, but still, and it was a thing that he did. It's what he did twice already now, not first time, but the second time, and then I was like, I need to know, Phil, what is going on with Project 7? What's going on with Project 7? Oh, don't worry about the money. I gotta go out. I gotta do this. I gotta have, I gotta have. Then the whole fallout he had with some sponsors, and then the list strike, and then some other strikes he had on his channel. He's trying to get rid of, trying to figure out the kinks of those, and it was not. I was like, I don't fucking care. I don't care. I just want, he would update me. He voluntarily updated me. Like, I think he wrong, and he said to himself, hold on now, I gotta update him because otherwise he's gonna come after me. And honest to God, I should have went after him.
Right.
It's two different states, and it's just one of those things where he now was across the across the U.S. over here, and he's in Washington. I'm over here in Connecticut.
Right.
I don't know what the procedure is. I don't know what any of that. So not knowing that, doing my research into seeing what it is a scam. He pulled a scam on me. I mean, and then with John Howard, and like
How do you feel about the whole? Remember when he tried to revive Project 7, and then it got canceled again?
Yeah, and that is what, and I thought that was, I started coming around, showing more interest, and not looking at him from a negative perspective, but looking at him from a, what?
Someone's asking what your username. Sorry, were you on the King of Hate forums?
No,
No,
no.
you weren't. Okay.
I had just been inactive. I didn't want to join because of KG Galleon.
Okay, just because someone was asking what your username was.
Yeah, absolutely have no interest in that.
That was probably a wise decision. Something I've learned is just avoid toxic places and toxic people at all costs. It's never worth it.
Yeah, and so the revival part of it, and I started, I was not at this point, as of a couple years ago, I started asking him more questions. He kept ignoring me. So I says, okay, so, but still, you soaked me dry. And so what's going on with Project 7? I was looking for updates, and, checking around, not really seeing much, just having like the best, getting angry, but just having patience and knowing that something's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming it would happen. Being that this is the way it is. And, honestly, after the whole video card thing, I thought that, John Rambo and Howard, his friends, were going to, his other friends were going to bring this event to light, and then Phil would probably keep his word and bring it back, I'm sorry what I did to you a few years ago, if he even remembered that. But it was still going to be me involved in it too. So in a way, I felt I needed to still be around. And not just because of the money aspect, but also too to understand just why, just understand. And then I realized, start watching videos, negative videos of him, and I'm starting to see exactly the same thing that I did not want to see, the exact opposite. And now I see Dark Side Phil, and for who he really is. And honestly, it shocks me that he has stooped as so low that he has, because it's just ridiculous. Now, when I first met him in years ago, I didn't think that this would have been the way it was. The whole change with him, and oh, I'm going to stream better. But my gameplay's still gonna suck, because you can't really change. You could put a controller in someone's hand and say to them, play a game that you don't know about, but at the same time, a keyboard and mouse isn't going to improve anything, or a new graphics card isn't going to improve anything of your gameplay. It's still going to be, regarding based on how you play the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And nothing else is going to make you better. It's going to be your skills in the end that are going to be able to, And he really doesn't realize how freaking bad he is at playing games. And this was a way for him to honestly to improve himself. And it's such a stupid, silly thing, because it's just right. And he didn't deliver. And honestly, I don't know what to do. I mean, I honestly, I'm stuck on what the hell should I do. I don't want to be somebody who is really evil. I don't want to be anybody that's, I don't want to be Mr. Bad Guy. I don't want to be this person to him, to Phil, where he actively, I don't want to have another. Doesn't need to be another confrontation when there's already enough shit going on with him.
Right.
It would look like I'm trying to get something out of him, but there is proof out there, and it is out there, I'm sure. I mean, there's got to have sort of documents of how this Project 7, and also to possibly the taxes that he was doing. And I'm not sure what that would entail with the whole Project 7. I honestly have no idea. At this point, though, I also seen some of the Snort Brunel videos, and I'm just so sick and tired of him. I cannot. At this point, I am dying to see him fall. It is just a long time coming, and I just want to see him get. I just want to see him to the point where he is. At this point, I believe he's trying to keep his house, if that's correct.
Yeah. I mean,
Serious legal findings.
I don't know how to feel about him. I really wish that he could get his life together and become a better person. Because, if he would just kind of get his finances together, he should be able to live a decent middle class lifestyle with the amount of money he has. He just, as I said, he just needs to sell his house, use the money to pay off a lot of his debt, move to a smaller apartment, and then take stock. I think he's a man who needs to take a nice long look at himself and say, what did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong? I need to do better. And I think, and it's frustrating because he could have been the next PewDiePie. He could have been really great. He undermined himself with his paranoia, his greed, his lack of gratitude, and it's very like it's a tragedy. It really is.
Yeah, and you know the thing with the favors, the whole thing with that, it's just when you have to beg somebody for something. I mean, you're really, you have no decency. You have no freaking decency. I don't care what you say. There's no decency in that, and it's just ridiculous that he was all right. So we were told about a product, and and he didn't deliver it. Now, as of to whether or not he was going to or not, I thought he was. I honestly thought he was. I mean, it's like the situation with what happened with EA games and the Battlefront thing. You know, people were. I can imagine they were patiently waiting. They thought it was going to be, the promise, it was going to be excellent. There was going to be bigger things happening, blah, blah, blah. And then you take that example and compare it to this, and just imagine the anger that people have from this Project 7. I don't know about John and Howard. Honestly, I think they should get out and not even bother.
No, they have said that they're not going to have anything else to do with him. If you just look into it, they made a podcast where they talked about it.
Really?
So, and they were very much like you. They were just John and Howard seemed like really good guys. You seem like a good guy too, by the way. But they were just like John was just like, he was just kind of sad about it. He wasn't trying to trash Phil. He wasn't trying to make him look bad. Like you just seem like you're just being sincere, and you just like, you legitimately, these things hurt you and you just kind of have to get it off of your chest.
Yeah.
Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah. And I'm glad I in the end, though, I didn't say anything to the SOK about this, because the way what occurred over there on that site over there is a whole nother story. But I'll just say that, in a room with a bunch of other people that feel like you're being judged and breathed down upon, it really, it feels almost, it wouldn't feel like I'm getting anything, or like I'm going to get any,
Closure
to what anything. And
what made you decide to ask me, just out of curiosity?
Well, I have been watching the videos of Chris Chan, and that I've, as of late, have just found out about Chris Chan, and I noticed there was Legends of the Internet who has done a video on that, on Chris Chan, and also a bunch of other YouTubers chronicling the entire sagas of Chris Chan. And then I found you, Argent, on YouTube, and I also saw some DSP gaming videos, and I said to myself, how many I says to myself, just look at how known this guy is, how much of a disaster he is, that he has so many people that either that are just, that know exactly what's going on. And I'm glad that this is all in the internet, because it needs to be out there. It cannot unknown. Like, it cannot be that it's something that
Kaveri, I don't know do you know who Brightside Viking is?
No. I've heard,
sorry?
I have heard of Dark
or Darkside Viking, whatever his name is.
No, but there is this one guy who imitates DSP, and he's got this little cup with bits going into it, and he's
Oh,
laughing.
that's slow beef. No, no. Brightside Viking is probably DSP's biggest fan. He just gave me $60 because he felt bad for you. Which I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but if you'd like, I can send you the money through PayPal. I don't really feel I have a right to it.
Oh, well, yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'll do that. I mean, I'll get some ad revenue from this. I'm not going to pretend I'm not going to monetize it, but I'll send you that to you after this video's done. I just Vidar was asking for a shout out, so I figured I should just acknowledge him. So thank you for that. I'll make sure Kaveri gets that. Anyways, so yeah, I have to go in a minute just because I have work tomorrow. But just is there anything else you want to get off your chest? Just while you're here.
Just if I had something to say to Phil, I would seriously, I would put him on the spotlight and ask him what is really going on, and why did you have to do this? You know, why take advantage of somebody that was willing to help you, willing to go, because you know I'm genuine. I don't believe that I'm, you know, I'm not a saint, but I'm saying I help people, and I do stick up to the plate. And I didn't understand why he had to do what he had to do. It makes no sense to me. And then he takes the thing, the Project 7, and throws it away, and now all that's gone for good. And it's an unfortunate thing. The
Right.
promised of, and now it's all gone. And
Right.
I wanted to see Project 7. I mean, I personally didn't care one way or another if it was good or bad. I just wanted to see what I had put and created for him, something that was, you know, that something was going to come of it, and not just another thing to line his pockets with. It's disgusting.
Okay. Well, I think that about wraps it up. I'd like to thank you very much for coming on. This was a fascinating discussion. When you approached me, I had no idea really that it was this deep or you had this much to talk about. But I just like to say I'm very grateful. I'm very touched that you trust me to do this story. I hope I've done well by you. It was a real pleasure to have you on. I really this was really experience and yeah, I'm sorry you had to go through all this. This sounds like a really rough time. I know I've had people I've gotten close to who've kind of betrayed me like that, and yeah, but yeah, just thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it. I hope in kind of its little way you feel better about it, better about the whole thing, that you're able to get this off your chest and talk about it. Because I know I talk a lot about mental health on this channel, and I find a lot of the time, just when you kind of keep these things bottled up, you feel really alone, and just kind of being able to talk about it, I find is helpful.
Yeah, especially when you go to talk to people outside of the internet who really don't know anything about these people, and you tell them, and it just goes one ear out the, oh well, hey, you know, I don't know who that person is, or you know, that's awful, oh god, but I don't know who Darkseid, like my therapist, for instance, tells me, oh, she like, for example, she has no idea, she has no freaking clue, and she's just like, you know, it sounds like something about a video game, and my point gets sunk because, you know, there's nobody like us knows about the real thing about Dark's DSP, and it's a shame. because if they go around doing the same things that he has done and is doing, it's just, this would prepare people for what's to come when they get involved with something like a big project like Project 7.
Right. So, thank you for coming on. I think I'm going to end it there. So, I just like to thank everybody who joined in and watched it. As I said, Kaveri just asked to come on, and he seemed like a good guy. And I think after the interview, I can say that he's a good guy. And I just figured I'd give him a forum to tell his story. So, you guys can, I guess, kind of take from that what you will. You can believe him or not believe him. I personally believe him because I think it's too complicated to make up just how long and detailed it was. But yeah, so it's up to you guys. This will be up on YouTube archived. I'm sure I'll get lots of juicy ad revenue out of it. No, but seriously, guys, I had a lot of fun. Thank you, Kaveri. I just messaged you on Facebook. Send me an email address, and I will send you that money.
Okay, and thank you very much for having me on the show.
No problem. Have a good evening. Good night, everybody. God bless.